Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. As you can see, it's been another productive day. I'll show you some highlights of the work that I did, but for the most part I'm just going to recap the day, and I feel like this is probably going to be the way I'm the most productive. First, because like I've said many times before, I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing here. This is a learning process, so I'm not going to present this as like a how-to or anything. And second of all, I'm just trying to enjoy myself. You know, I've been hustling so much with the woodworking business / YouTube channel. I really wanted to take this project more as kind of me time and doing something that I've always wanted to do and something I've always been interested in, but I've just never had the time to do it. So anyway, now with that speech over, let's talk a little bit about what got done today. As you can see, the engine is gone. It's actually over there. Getting the engine off really wasn't that bad. As most VW guys would tell you, that pulling a VW engine is fairly straightforward and easy, especially when the body's off of it. I had 4 bolts and then just a few cables, throttle cable, a couple of heater box cables. That was it. And just came right out. One of the heater box cables wasn't even bolted in the right way. It was just wired in, so I'll have to buy the hardware to actually have that work, but that's not that big of a deal. I pulled the exhaust tips off just so I wouldn't run into them every time I walked by this. This guy is going to be sitting here for a little while, and it's fine right where it is. I started to work on the front end a little bit. I pulled the steering box off, and it was not too hard to get the steering box off of its location. The thing was filthy. It was just caked in grease and dirt, and I couldn't even see like where a lot of the fasteners are or anything. And so I ended up doing a lot of scraping, as you can see here, and I still couldn't figure out how to get the whole thing apart. I looked through my book. It doesn't really specify or give you any details on how to get it apart. It just kind of shows what it's all made of, and you know, and how to adjust it and tune it up and everything. So I might go check out a YouTube video on how to take it apart, or I may just leave it as it is and clean it as it is, because the bearings felt good. Everything seemed to work pretty good. It's down there in the abyss of my... Obviously I took the wheels off, and I took the soft brake lines off. I'm getting ready to take the hubs off, but that's probably just going to have to wait for another day. Today was spent just kind of puttering around, getting familiar with how this thing is put together, and trying to wrap my mind around exactly what order I want to do everything in and what parts I'm going to need to order. I don't have all the right tools. I don't know how many tools I need. You know, I don't have like a ball joint tool. I have a pickle bar that I'll probably use to split the ball joints, but I don't have a ball joint press to put everything back together. I've got my Blue Bentley book that tells me about all the different suspension components, so I'll be able to order all the suspension components. I kind of wanted to take the whole suspension apart first, though, just to see for myself what's in there, because this bug has been modified to a certain degree, and so I don't know if polyurethane bushings have already been put in here, or if it's just using the old style bushings. I have to replace the throttle cable. It's working on its last few strands here at the end. It's pretty broken. So it's probably literally 2 strands left on that cable, and that is probably a 8-strand cable. So kind of glad it didn't break when we were test driving it, and I'm glad I caught it now, so I'll be able to replace that. I think I had already talked about starter's a little crispy, starter wire is a little crispy there. I haven't even thought about the back end yet. I think I'm going to focus on the front end. I actually want to remove the whole front beam and I found out what this is. So this is like an early 70s product that you would use to raise or lower your front end, just the ride height of the front end. And the way it worked is, here's your main beam here, and this is the main beam has two torsion springs, or torsion, I guess they call them springs because they're like leaves, spring leaves in there that are stacked together, and the twisting of those spring leaves is actually what creates the spring action, the rebounding spring action, instead of having coilovers like you're used to seeing in modern vehicles. Anyway, the top beam is cut, and then these little flanges, I guess you'd call them, are welded onto the cut portion, and everything's put back together. Okay, and so basically you use this screw to twist this divot here, and there's a bolt underneath here that you may or may not be able to see. It's right here. That's what's holding those leaf springs in position, and or those torsion springs. And so as you're twisting this down, what you're doing is you're creating a preload and forcing the wheels up into the wheel wells just ever so slightly, which lowers the whole nose of the bug. And so you can adjust that up or down using this master bolt here that goes through these other big old monster bolts. It's really a odd, cumbersome thing, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know how good it is. I'm a little concerned about the fact that the middle portion of this top beam is kind of free floating in here. So I don't know. I have lots of time to think about it. I have to strip this whole thing down, and I'm going to be removing the beam so I can, prep it and paint it and everything. So I've got a lot of time to think about it. So I'm not going to be too concerned about it just now, but you guys go ahead, and if you feel the need, you can leave it in the comments below what you think I should do with it. My options are leaving it as it is or removing it, and I will probably have to sleeve the top beam and re-weld it. So anyway, I'm sure there will be lots of opinions about it. Not sure if these Zerks that are here in the upper and lower beams are factory. They seem to be not evenly spaced, and so that leads me to believe that they were added after the fact. Tons of grease is just pouring out of these control arm openings in the beams, and I keep stepping in it because it keeps dripping out. So that's really all that I have for today. Thanks everybody for following the progress. Like I always say, if you have any advice or any tips or any observations, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'm going to start linking products that I use in my videos down in the description below. So if you see me using some kind of a tool, or if you like something that I have or whatever, look for it down in the description below, and there will be an Amazon link to that. And if you buy it through my link, then I get a little something back. So it's kind of a cool program that Amazon does for YouTubers. If you like this type of stuff, the whole spiel, go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that bell and do all those things to be notified if you want to follow this build. And I surely do appreciate all of the interactions by everybody. So thanks everybody for watching. I will see you guys next time.